Hey, post-show odds and ends, much like Monday Night Magic, are going to be in-game discussion, apparently. Because Dirk's seen it twice. Mike saw it with us, so we don't have to, oh my god, Mike! So...
I do need to see it again, so I'm, not seeing it from the front right corner of the thing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it from a decent angle.
Me too.
Freaking mom's never going to come home, so I'm going to have to go see it without her. The surgeon released her from all of that. Because that's all healed up and she's fine now. But now she's got a lot of fluid on her lungs for, no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So mom's going to... And she's having trouble sleeping and, she lays down. She can't breathe very well. So mom's hanging out until all that clears up.
Right. And that was Nana you were talking about for those.
Yeah, that was Nana.
Lost in the context, yeah.
Sorry. All right, then. Well, it's almost certainly completely recording now. So, shall we?
Shall we? Yes. Yes, we shall.
Okay. Oh, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 552 of the Mana Pool, and apologies for not having an episode last week. I only remember the internet problem. Did I have... Was it brain or stomach?
It was stomach.
Okay. I knew that something was a legit excuse for not doing a show, but I was having stomach issues on Thursday night and internet issues. My internet was in and out all night. So even if I hadn't been having issues, we probably still wouldn't have been able to actually record the damn show. Because it would just drop for 5 minutes at a time. I know this because I was sitting in the living room feeling awful, trying not to move with something playing on Netflix, and it would just pause and circle, and I'd open a Harry Potter book and read it until the internet would kick back in and it would start playing again, and I'd mark my place, close the book, watch this until it kicked out again. It was really frustrating. I don't remember what I was trying to watch.
You should have put on a Harry Potter movie and had a race between the movie and the book.
That's not the worst idea. I'm actually rereading the Harry Potter movie books, and then as I finish each book, I'm going to watch the movie, which is a thing I've never done before. I've read all the books, and I've watched all the movies, but never together. But anyway, I should introduce us. So this is the Mana Pool number 552. I'm Chewy, the lead dork, and I'm bad at this game. With me, as always, are these other dorks. Hi, dorks.
Hello. I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler, tangent master of the group, and I really like chicken barbecue. I know a lot of people like pork, but I really like barbecue chicken.
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy, and I really like vinegar-based barbecue sauce. I like vinegar anything, and that is why I like vinegar barbecue sauce.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greatest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I like Buffalo Ranch.
He's also the person that's most harassed in the group.
That is probably accurate.
I heard Brian.
Brian's thinking about work, I guess.
I like Lexington-style barbecue because I grew up in Lexington, so I'm a barbecue snob.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Lexington style is. I just know that if it's not Lexington style, my taste buds go, what? So...
Well, it's either vinegar or ketchup are the two barbecue styles.
Okay. That doesn't help.
There's a mustard one. Nerd Soda mentioned it in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh.
But don't listen to him. He's weird.
That's definitely not a North Carolina one, then.
It is not.
That's like someone being like, Oh, there's a mayonnaise flavored one too.
Okay, they
Right,
can
well,
go
that's
to
definitely
hell.
not North Carolina either.
They can go right to hell.
That would be weird.
There's a back when I worked at the job that I was working at when we started this show, they would on super rare occasion get like barbecue because they were cheap. They would get like barbecue food in for all of us for like a lunch or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it made the entire building smell like vinegar, and it made me want to die. So I would always go out to lunch on those days, and it would piss the boss off something fierce. He's like, "We got food right here." I'm like, "This food is disgusting, and I'm not gonna eat it, and you ought to be ashamed for making everyone eat it." And I'd go out and grab some fast food and bring it back. Anyway. So, yes, this is the Pool number 552, and this week we're doing another flavor fight. Because, why not? But instead of doing a flavor fight as usual by hitting random on the gather a random card button over and over and over until I get creatures of some variety that I wanted. Like, I think once I did just legendaries and once I did just rares or something.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, I decided, well, I forget whose idea it was, but we decided to do Planeswalkers.
It was Dirk's idea.
It was Dirk's idea.
It's my idea.
Because
Yeah.
Planeswalkers are all the rage these days.
Yeah, why not?
To what... Stark said, "What flavor is fighting? Vinegar, mustard, and ketchup?" Yeah, but not mayonnaise, because they go to hell.
Mayonnaise isn't bad. Mustard, I don't do.
See? Brian's going to hell. Now,
He didn't say mayonnaise barbecue.
No one actually likes mayonnaise.
I
You
didn't
might
either
pretend.
say mayonnaise barbecue.
I meant mustard. No one who actually likes mustard.
I like
Dude,
mustard.
I love mustard.
There's something
You know,
very wrong
I
with
swear
it.
I've had a
Screw you,
barbecue
hippie.
that was honey based.
A kind of barbecue that's what?
Honey based.
Oh, yeah.
I might have too.
See, I'm not into the sweet barbecues. Because, like, barbecue is supposed to be, like, you know, it's supposed to make the pork, like, taste good. And honey, I just don't like the taste of honey. Honey just,
You don't.
ugh.
Can we, says the guy who doesn't like mustard. Okay, we're going to lose friendships if we keep this up. Let's... I get the feeling
final
people are already
episode of the
unsubscribing.
Maniple.
We're gonna break this show up.
I'm going to go back to Monday Night Magic, where none of us like mayonnaise. We were randomly discussing this in our Google chat, how the three of us just don't like mayonnaise. Bill doesn't like it because people try to sneak it into his food all the time, and he doesn't appreciate that. I don't like it because it's gross. And I forget which one of them called it devil slime, which made me so happy. But anyway. Right. Okay.
Planeswalkers.
But that's not the flavor fight we started to have. That's a different kind of flavor fight. Hello again, and welcome to the Vinegar Pool. Okay, so like I said, this week we're gonna do a flavor fight with Planeswalkers because, like I said, Planeswalkers are all the rage. But I didn't want to get stuck talking about the same Planeswalkers we've been talking about for the last freaking month.
Mm-hmm.
So I went searching for Planeswalkers that were not on cards in War of the Spark, but also that we knew anything at all about. And I found 8.
Look at that.
There were some like, oh crap, I just had her open in a tab. The little girl,
Oh, the
Amanatu.
creepy girl?
Amanatu. Is that her name?
Yes.
Amanatu, yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
I think I only remember that because for some reason I read it recently.
And someone else, Estrid. Like, we don't know anything about them, so I didn't really want to use them. But I found 8 that we know at least a little bit about, and I went, sold! And this was all done without their input. So they already know the
Yeah.
Planeswalkers because I sent them links to a Gamepedia page for each one, just so they would have some talking points.
But otherwise, we know nothing. We knew nothing going into this.
Yeah. So, first, are you guys ready? The Flavor Fight,
Yes.
by the way,
Yes.
for those that don't know, is where we take formerly creatures, most of the time, but Planeswalkers now, and pit them against each other in combat, but not based on what their cards do. Because then you just go, well, this is a 2-3 and this is a 2-2, so clearly this one wins. Next round. Because that's boring.
Mm-hmm.
Or this one has first strike, and even though this one has 5 toughness, no. So we're taking all the flavor, the art, and all of that into account. So now we're going to do it with Planeswalkers, which should be at least moderately entertaining. And if not, hey, we don't ever have to do it again. Sick. So, shall we? Yes.
Yes, we shall. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
So the first Planeswalker up is Duretti. I wonder, should I show this on screen? Let me see. I lost OBS. Boom. Well, it doesn't display properly. Crap. What about this one? Yeah, there we go. We got Duretti.
Are you ready?
Guess I should open up these pages again.
Are you ready?
No, just the ones that we're talking about at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so Duretti is the goblin planeswalker from Fiora who has no legs. Because he blew them off when one of his inventions explode. Like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Duretti is from Fiora, and he has been depicted as a red planeswalker and a black-red planeswalker. And he's all about artifacts.
But
right?
not in the Tezzeret way.
Yeah, not he is artifacts. Although, from the waist down, he kind of is. But that's not what we're talking about. He didn't replace his legs because, hey, this will be neat. It was, oh god, my legs are gone. And so now he's got new legs. Like Lieutenant
He's
Dan.
Dr. Octopus. Yeah.
Sure. Whereas Tezzeret was like, it'd be cool? Not a tattoo. Because tattoos are too... shallow. But okay, so that's one. Do we have anything to say about Duretti before we start? He's an artificer.
Right.
And he's all about making things. Like, he has cogwork warriors and cogwork toys, cogwork things that do things.
Mm-hmm. Really smart, really clever, really creative. As artificers are.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Slowbad in that, he's a goblin, and he's a genius when it comes to artifacts, whereas a lot of other goblins are like, oh look, shiny go boom. So
say it with me, chat. That's racist.
more speciesist.
It's same thing.
Well, you never know. Could be talking about. Never mind. Let's not.
Yeah, let's not now. So Duretti is also, because he's from Fiora, according to the little discussion here, he's also pretty good with scheming and plotting, as you have to be to do anything on Fiora.
Yeah, it's kind of a not job required, more of a, living condition.
Life skill.
Yeah.
You got it. That's what we're going for.
So, real quick, Duretti does the discard 2 cards, then draw that many cards. What's that called? Rummaging?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he rummages. He can sack an artifact to get an artifact from graveyard to battlefield. So he turned trash to treasure, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then an emblem with, whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard, return that card to the battlefield to begin. Oh, so it just keeps coming back.
Right.
And then his second card makes a 1/1 construct with Defender, sacking an artifact to destroy an artifact or creature. So, hey, I'll turn this into a bomb. And then picking an artifact in a graveyard or on the battlefield and getting 3 copies of it. Buh.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are
cool.
his abilities on cards in case, that helps tell you what he can do.
Right.
So
Okay.
who's he up against in this first round? Dak Faden.
Dak Faden.
The greatest thief in the multiverse. Now dead, unfortunately. Spoilers. Not really. He died in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Like you do.
And Dak Faden, his main ability is called psychometry. I don't know how you say it. Yeah, he can absorb knowledge and enchantments from the things he touches.
Yep.
So
I had not. He was in 1 or 2 novels before now, right?
he was in comics.
He was
Comic
in comics.
books. Mm-hmm.
Well, I read the War of the Spark novelization, and he mentioned several things. He's like, I absorbed this spell from this, and at one point he had a spell that he'd used on an undead creature, so he starts blowing up the Eternals, but it's too slow because it's meant to be like one thing at a time. That he got off of a cursed ring, and that was pretty cool. So, okay. He not only steals physical objects, but then he can steal the spells that are, like, bound to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dak Faden has one card that says, let's see, target player loots twice because he's a thief, so he loots. He can gain control of target artifact because he steals it. And then he gets an emblem with whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more permanents, gain control of those permanents. So everything is a gimme that because he's a thief, you see.
Very flavorfully focused here, You look at all these abilities and you go thief, thief, thief.
Yeah. So, let's go.
All right. So in the one corner, you've got the goblin, spider thing. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time not picturing the bad guy from Wild Wild West a little bit.
Hopefully less racist.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
Wow. You want to talk about that's racist? Literally, that's racist. That was his whole shtick. And on the other hand, you got the greatest thief in the multiverse. So I guess a question would be: do we allow Duretti to bring contraptions with him? Is he allowed to bring any of his homemade whatnot with him into the arena?
Well, really powerful magical artificers can also, cook some up really quick if they need to.
I'm sure he's got some stuff that's attached to his contraption here. Because what's the point of having a contraption attached to you if it doesn't have some weapons installed?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then my next question is, can Dak absorb the magic that he's using to animate their contraptions?
I would assume so.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
All right. So on the one hand, you have Duretti, who's like, "Go spiders, go!" Mechanical things, and Dak's like, "Huh, that's really neat. I think I'll steal some of that for later." Because not only can we assume that he's, pretty good at stealing enchantments, but he's also just a good thief, period, right? So he would probably look at these and go, yeah, I think I'd like to take this home for later and use this in the future. He probably has a good idea of what makes artifacts tick. He's not one to, like, build them himself, but he has made a career out of stealing artifacts. So I feel like Dak has a bit of an edge here, at least early on, because he can kind of be like, I get what you're trying to do here, and it's cool, and I think I want some of it, But I think there's also a legitimate question as far as can Dak be overwhelmed by what Duretti is throwing at him? What do you guys think?
I I kind of think that Dak Faden has the advantage in this one because, similar to what Brian was saying, if Duretti makes something like, let's say he has a walking bomb, that Dak could walk up to it, take it, and say, "Oh, this is going to do. It has this ability." He could take it and be able to then take the artifact once he's absorbed it, and then turn it around and send it back at Duretti.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he's got that advantage. The fact that Dak Faden facts is, Duretti's disadvantage because Duretti is solely involved in making artifacts. So having somebody who makes them versus somebody who can manipulate them, absorb and manipulate, puts the to me puts the maker at a disadvantage.
Okay. That's a decent point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Like I
not
said,
seeing
hey.
anything in his history right up here for Duretti that tells me he is very good at this sort of thing.
'Cause based on his profile, he's a builder. He's not a fighter.
Yeah,
Baby.
like
And it feels like Dak Faden has done a lot more stuff.
I
Like
said
he's a fairly experienced individual.
his schemings were responsible for the disabling of the academy, and he was instrumental in instigating the Goblin riots. But none of that is, I'll kick your ass.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed that Dak is from Fiora too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he must have the scheming life skills
look
as
at
well.
that.
And you know what? There's a decent chance that these two ran into each other at some point because they're both kind of almost rebellion/underworld figures. Am I right?
Mm.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Could
I'm
be.
thinking I'm still I think I may be going with Dak on this one, but I'm not saying the discussion has to be done here. Um, but I feel like he's got a lot of things going for him. Does that make sense?
Oh, Nerd Soda said maybe this isn't a battle. This is James Bond and Q. Ha!
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing because
That's
otherwise,
cool.
otherwise you just have this odd little fencing match. It's just like, as we mentioned before, and Dirk pointed out earlier, because of the very specific strengths on each side, you have this weird little fencing match where Dak has a clear advantage because he can just use whatever the ready does to his own advantage, and he has all this other unknown bridge stuff packed away at the ready to surprise somebody.
Yeah, he doesn't show as having met Duretti in the thing here, but that is just stuff that we've been told.
Yeah. I mean, they're both from the same plane. They both, if they wouldn't run in the same circles, they may have at least heard of each other. So, which could go to a question of preparedness. But who knows?
Yeah, if Duretti has heard of
Dak.
Faden, who is a master thief, then he might make up something
A little
specifically
more
for
impervious.
that. Like, hey, what does this artifact do? It locks up and can't move. So that when he picks it up and tries to absorb the magic, he locks up and can't move.
I like it.
But I get the feeling that Dak Faden would just then stop using the magic.
Yeah, I don't know if that's quite how it works. Yeah.
I don't know. That's an interesting interpretation, though.
So yeah, it looks like Dak Vaden is gonna knock out Duretti then.
I'm thinking that's where we've been going for a little while. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was easy-ish. So
Okay.
next up, we have, we have everybody's favorite, well, dead Planeswalker. Spoilers from a long time ago. Venser.
Yay!
Yay!
Woo!
Yay!
Another artificer, oddly enough, but a different kind of artificer than Duretti. Duretti just makes stuff based on whatever he's got laying around. Venser was all about teleportation.
His first invention was a teleporting device. So.
Yeah. So he's from Urborg in Dominaria. And he started off as just a normal human guy. Like
you do.
Chicken Boo. Except he wasn't wearing a disguise. He actually was a normal human guy. Who had some sort of teleporting invention. And then his spark ignited and he became a planeswalker who could, well, teleport.
That's great.
It's kind of a one-trick pony here.
A little bit.
Like he died because he teleported his heart into Karn.
Yes.
Let's see. He was on the Shaper Savant, which teleported things, and then the Sojourner, who blinked things, made creatures unblockable, and the exile whenever you cast a spell, exile target permanent. Oh, I forgot about that, which is the only part that mattered. So why did I forget about that? Well, okay, that's a lie. It was the only part that mattered in long control games, because that's what killed you.
Right.
So, all right. So that's everybody's favorite dead planeswalker, right?
Yep. Certainly my favorite dead planeswalker.
So who is his opponent? Whoops! It's actually everybody's favorite dead planeswalker. It's Elspeth.
You say dead with air quotes with Elspeth, though.
Dude,
Like,
she's
we all-
dead.
Yes, and we all think that she's totally dead forever, right?
Nobody used the word forever, but dead is dead. She is dead. On the plane
She's-
on which she died, she is dead.
She's comic book dead. I get it.
Dude, everybody in Magic is comic book dead.
That's true. To be clear, she's not Uncle Ben dead. That's actually Venser is Uncle Ben dead.
Yeah. With great, whatever he had comes great teleportation.
I like that. Can I quote you on that?
Yeah, go ahead. That'll be a new thing.
With great whatever he had comes great teleportation.
So anyway,
Copyright Brian.
Elspeth
Yes, sorry.
is from somewhere. We don't know where, but it was run over by Phyrexians. And she is all about the power of buffs.
Yes.
Like, let's see. She's got 3 cards, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So she made soldiers, she gave a buff and flying, and then she made things indestructible. See, it's all about dudes and buffing. Her
Dudes and
second
buffing.
one
Yep.
gained life for creatures you control, made 3 soldiers, and destroyed everything except for lands and tokens. So except for the things that she made. Her third one made 3 dudes, so she's all about making dudes, and blew up everything that was big and scary, and buffed all of her creatures. So yeah, she's kind of a badass.
She was not a go big planeswalker. She was a go wide. Like, here's all the people in the world fighting for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's also, famous for killing Xenagos and then getting offed in response.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because what's name is a jerk ass. What's his name?
Heliod.
Heliod. Yeah, there we go. Rule 2, Heliod. Rule 1, Elspeth.
Never talk about Fight Club.
What? No. Rule 1 is no dying. Rule 2 is don't be a dick. If both of them had just followed both rules, then Elspeth would have been around a lot.
Probably kicking some butt on Ravnica.
Probably. But no. Freaking Heliod couldn't handle Rule 2. Because, oh my god, I could be a dick, man. Anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of, that's not incorrect.
All right, so what do we have here, Elspeth and Vincer? I'm going to guess this is pretty one-sided.
But they're friends.
They are friends.
There are no friends in the Flavor Fight arena.
And one of these is actually trained to, be a soldier and a commander and a leader of people and men and women and all that good stuff.
But the other can
one
teleport.
Can teleport and was addicted to something that was keeping him alive. At least I think that's what it was doing. I don't remember. He was addicted to something.
He was complicated, but in the end, he kind of almost had a death wish toward the end. So he's like, well, I guess I'm going to sacrifice myself now. And I'm like, great, thanks.
Was it what? I can't remember what he was. The word addict does not appear on this page.
At one point he teleported himself into some blink moths, and it kind of messed him up in the head. So that's probably what you're thinking of. He was already breaking down physically a little bit by the time they got to Karn. So he's like, well, I want my life to mean something. The thing is about his magic, he can teleport himself. I don't know that there's anything to really say he's good at teleporting something else. So if you're like, well, maybe he could teleport Elspeth's heart out of her body, like he could teleport himself his heart out of his. I don't think his power works that way. I'm trying to think.
I don't think he'd resort to a move like that either.
I don't think so. But I'm just saying, in a fight to the death, people might get creative, and I'm trying to say, what would he turn to? I think he would try to assess the situation, and he would teleport and try and look for an opening. And I think, does Elspeth have the godsend in one form or another, or is she not have that weapon?
To make it slightly more fair, let's say she doesn't.
Right. So, and
I don't think that makes a difference, though.
I think it makes somewhat of a difference in that, she's the way she worked her magic, she would actually funnel her magic and channel it through her sword. So that makes it a bit of a difference. That being said, she was trained as a knight of Bant. She's basically been to some of the more war-torn planes in the multiverse, and she tried to align herself with the most righteous cause she could find. She was continually, almost as a contrast to Gideon, who was constantly throwing himself into battle after battle after battle because he kind of did have a death wish and he wanted to try to protect the people he cared about. Elspeth was trying to look for a home where she didn't have to fight. She had nightmares about the Phyrexians and what they'd done to her home. And ironically, every time she went to a place and found that there was something bad going on there, she would help out. And then when the conflict was over, she'd leave. So it wasn't to try to establish peace. She was trying to look for a home. So what I'm trying to get to is I don't know that she necessarily would have trained herself in the military to be like, I'm going to be all I can be. I think it was more of a survival tactic than anything else. Can she still kick his ass without a weapon? Probably. So I think Elspeth's got it. I'm not trying to make this take forever. I'm just thinking there may be a little something here, but I think in the end Elspeth probably has got this one wrapped up. I think Vincer can try and play the long game a bit, but in the end, all she needs is he needs her to mess up all the time. She needs one opening. So
yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Stark a few minutes ago in the chat actually said Vincer teleports away in fight. Yeah, I think that Elspeth's gonna end up winning by forfeit because he's gonna go out. So sorry, Vincer.
You're in a Final Fantasy battle, and all of a sudden the opponent is like, I'm going to steal your item and potion and then run away. And everybody just kind of looks at each other. The battle you don't even get the victory music. It's just like, it just stops and everybody's like looking at each other like, what just happened? So, da-da-da-da. Okay. Who we got next?
Next, we actually got, hang on a minute.
Okay.
I think I saw someone earlier mention that their stream was screwing up, and Stark just said it again. Is anybody else having a problem with the stream?
Well, it looks like it's because he keeps navigating away. So.
See, there's your problem. You keep leaving. All right, so Vincer is out. Sorry. I was even going to say at least he looked like Luke Perry, but Luke Perry just recently died, didn't he?
What? Yes, he did.
Oh wow, you're right.
Yeah,
Dang
I forgot
it.
about that.
Everything is awful. All right, so next
Who we got?
we've got... let's do this one first. Mu Yanling. She is a hydromancer from the Plane of Mountains and Seas, who I've never heard of. And she is presumably human. Which,
I wonder what they have there on that plane.
that's racist. I'm gonna guess...
Mountains?
maybe?
No, it's a misnomer. For the record, those have read the novel. She does actually show up in the novel, Roar of the Spark, but
Yeah.
she did not have a featured card. So
Yeah, she's not depicted on any cards anywhere, as far as I know. Like, not even in the background. So, it was either Mu Yanling, who we actually have some information about, or, like, Will and Rowan Kenrith. We don't know nothing about them. So
no, but just for those that were like, well, wait a minute, Chewie said that we've been seeing the same planeswalkers over. This is someone we really don't know a whole lot about, but we have some biographical information. So yeah.
she's on the Plane of Mountains and Seas, and some stuff went down. And she teamed up with Jiang Yang-gu to dig for arcane secrets that might right the wrongs of her past. So she's a hydromancer, but she's apparently looking for some time magic. So yeah. And during War of the Spark, she was on Ravnica with Jiang Yang-gu and got trapped there and survived. She was one of the team they split up to help focus on protecting and rescuing civilians. So that's cool. And she helped the Gatewatch fight against Bolas, but once Bolas was defeated, they bounced.
Yeah.
It's like, all right,
cool.
later, pimpin'. We out. Can she make the water wiener from the abyss? You know what? Let's say yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the first trick any good hydromancer learns.
Man, I need to watch The Abyss again. I remember that being a good movie.
It was a very good movie.
It's good stuff.
I have not seen it.
But how long has it been since you saw it?
A long time. I saw it as a kid, I think.
Like 10 years.
Yeah.
Longer than that for me, like 20.
I'm going to have to watch it again to see if... Because I enjoy enjoying it, so I'm afraid to watch it again. Okay, Robot Mike, whatever you said. Robot Mike? Nope, he's gone.
It doesn't
again.
matter.
Oh,
I
there he
feel
is.
like It just doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
In
All
the
right.
end,
Keeping the winning pages, keeping the Gamepedia pages for the winners open, and I guess that's a mistake.
Yeah,
Because
you
I
should.
still have these video ads loading in the
Yeah,
background.
you should probably close it
Yeah.
and reopen them when we need them. That's
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna do that too. There we go. Okay, so next up, her opponent. So she's water, right?
Right.
yes.
Right. So her opponent is well, it's Koth of the Hammer. The Geomancer
Fair. That's actually really fitting.
from Mirrodin. He's a Volshock. Specifically, he's an alloy. Meaning that his parents were from two different tribes.
Oh.
So he's of the Hammer means the Hammer tribe, but his one of his parents was from a different tribe, which apparently is weird enough to where he gets a name, and it's alloy. Get it? Because an alloy is two different kinds of metal.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
so he is still on New Phyrexia, trying desperately to fight back and survive and keep everyone alive and not die and all of that. And he can make, well, rock things. Let's see. He's only got one card, and the auto card isn't loading. There it is. So he untaps mountains and they become 4/4s with haste because he's a badass. He adds red mana to your pool for mountains. And he can have mountains ping opponents. Or creature or player. He can have mountains ping whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Wow, does that say any target now? I bet it does.
Mm-hmm.
1 damage to any target. Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. So, we've got a Hydromancer versus a Geomancer.
That's a fairly interesting matchup, I gotta say.
Yeah, so Stark said water is super effective against a rock. I'm guessing that's in Pokemans,
Yes, it's a Pokemon.
which no one cares about Pokemon except for the bazillions of people who care about Pokemon. So we're just
Other
gonna
than
ignore
them,
Other than them. Wait, since we already had the condiment flavor fight, let's have the Pokemon flavor fight. Do any of you guys care about Pokemon?
I played it
particularly.
when I was
Vaguely.
younger. I was a little too old to really be into it when it came out, but I was a Game Boy owner, and like a lot of Game Boy owners, I tried very hard to make the link cable work. The problem is, even from Gen 1, even from early Gen 1, everybody was just like, all right, my team has Mewtwo and 5 other people. Great. Who loses their Mewtwo first? Okay, good job. You win and or lose, depending on which side. So, I think it's neat that it's really a unique RPG series that has stood the test of time and then some. They're still making more. That's crazy. But now about Koth.
Okay, so none of us are real big Pokemon people. This was my point.
Not
Yeah.
super. No.
Okay.
All right.
yes.
So even though Brian hates mustard like a monster and Dirk hates honey like a monster and I hate mayonnaise like a good human and Mike loves vinegar like a monster. Okay, cool.
Mustard is a monster, yes.
The mustard monster. I know what to give Brian for Christmas. Send a mustard monster to your house.
I'm picturing like Cookie Monster, but he's kind of Cookie Monster meets Jabba the Hutt, covered in mustard.
Yeah. He'd look like Pizza the Hut from that other thing.
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, thank you. That one that everybody thinks I should like that I only kind of like. Yeah.
It's all right.
It's all right, exactly. Anyway. So, we've got Koth and Mu. What do we do here? I don't know anything about Mu Yunling's powers, which is a problem. Let's go look at what she does.
Okay. What's she do?
Creature can't be blocked this turn. Draw 2 cards. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Take an extra turn after this one. Ooh. Assuming because she drowned them all or something.
Yeah, a giant wave bowled them over.
Oh, because like flood back in the day, huh?
Mhm.
Huh?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then the extra turn is because they're all squishing all the water out of their boots.
Yes.
So I don't know a whole lot about her, but we know Koth is aggressive, like aggressively aggressive.
Accurate.
So he's probably gonna come at her first. Am I right?
Almost
Mhm.
certainly, yeah.
I guess
So
the
he'll-
question then is
He'll charge forward with something rocky, and she will throw a lot of water at him, and he'll have to go, whoa, hang on. Rethink.
I guess the question then becomes: is that to his advantage or disadvantage that's what he does? Does that mean that he's striking first? Does he have first advantage, or is that kind of playing into her strength? I know in a lot of martial arts and certain Eastern philosophies, they say that whoever throws the first punch is guaranteed to lose. And if you actually watch a lot of anime, specifically Dragon Ball and some others, you watch almost always the person that goes first is the person that loses because they have to give the good guy a chance to be like, oh, well, I can take what you throw at me and turn it back or whatever. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna pitch, or even in westerns, whoever the bad guy draws first, but the good guy reacts and draws even faster and
Mhm.
shoots him.
Like you do.
Like Indiana Jones style.
That's something else.
No, like you're thinking of the scene where the guy's like, "Wah!" and he's throwing the sword around, and Indy looks at him. He's just like, "Bang!"
You move first. Bang.
That's true. The other guy did move first.
Supposedly, Harrison
Jeez.
Ford just really wasn't feeling well that day, and they were gonna have a sword fight or something, and he's like, "I'm not doing this." Bang! And the other guy just went with it. That's what I believe I heard that.
Yeah, he
somewhere.
had a pretty horrible stomach bug.
So kudos on the other actor for being like, "Sure, I'm shot now." So he comes at her. She goes, probably tries to redirect a little bit, right? So I feel like this one of all of them could be really back and forth. We're literally talking about fire and water here.
Well,
Earth and water.
Rock
earth
and
and
water.
rock and water. Rock and water.
And then Justin pointed out that Koth has been fighting in the Phyrexian arena for a while, and he can handle a long fight. That's also true. We might have to give it to Koth just because we don't know anything about Mu Yan Ling.
Yeah, I don't know enough to be able to argue for her.
I just saw
Yeah.
that she had all of this information here instead of like a tiny little 2 sentences, and I went, okay, put her on the list. Because there were a lot of planeswalkers in War of the Spark, and trying to find planeswalkers that weren't was not easy. Even though she was there. Shut up. You know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean.
All right, Nerd Soda is claims to be water type because he has a weird merfolk obsession. How would you think there, Mr. Soda, that she beats Koth with her splashy powers? And yes, I'm making them sound lame on purpose, just to tick you off.
I do feel bad that we can't really assess her as well, but
Mm-hmm.
But
what do we know about Koth? He is a badass, right?
What we know about Mu Yan Ling is that horrible stuff has happened in the past, so what's she looking for? Time magic to go back and change it. Whereas Koth is fighting he knows that stuff has gone sideways, but instead of trying to go backwards and change it, he's trying to fight forward and fix it. So
There you go.
I think he's got more drive to succeed than she does.
I think that is a distinct possibility.
Especially if we've trapped him here with the Immortal Sun and he can't get back until he smashes people. and he desperately wants to get back because, you know, that's what he does.
Smash the people.
He's there, and he's smashing Phyrexians. That, and, you know, he'll just throw a mountain at her. You know, what's she gonna do? All right. So even without knowing much about her, the little bit we do, we can sort of make some assumptions that fit our narrative. All right.
Self-confirming bias is what?
Yeah, what?
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 Okay. All right. So the
next
winner
up,
is Koth.
The winner is Koth. So we've got Dak Faden, Elspeth, and Koth. All right. Moving on, we've got another of everyone's favorite dead planeswalkers. Theoretically, Xenagos.
He's okay.
Yay.
He's kind of an asshole, but
Yeah, he's a party
lovable
guy.
asshole.
You know, he's
that is his-
he's a frat bro, right? We'll just
he's
call him
definitely
that.
a frat, man.
Yeah. He's red and green. He's a satyr. He's from Theros. These planeswalkers are all dead or busy because I was looking for ones that weren't in War of the Spark.
Yeah.
As I've said like 5 times now. So, Xenagos was first. He was first. What was he first? He was the Reveler, which is his planeswalker form, where he made mana based on creatures. He made satyrs with haste. And then he exiled the top 7 cards of your library and put any number of creatures or lands from among them onto the battlefield. So he's like, hey, everybody party, here's a bunch of stuff. Then he was the god of revels, where he buffed things. But he was also a god. But
it was kind of funny because he almost, in some people's opinions, he took a step back. He went from being a planeswalker who could go anywhere to being a god who was locked onto one plane. But he grew up on the plane, and he was taught, worship the gods and give them homage and all that. And when his spark ignited, he saw that there was more out there than what he had been led to believe. And it was honestly a crisis of faith for him, because he's like, you guys think you're so big, you're really not. And his whole point was to come back to basically show everybody, I can be a god too. So he's kind of an interesting case psychologically. He's also kind of a sociopath in that he delights in the misery and suffering of others.
Yeah. He is your one more beer friend. He doesn't care how sick you get.
Yeah. He's actually watching just to see how drunk you can get so he can post the pictures later.
Oh, he was also Xenagos Ascended in the Defeat a God, whatever that thing was called.
Oh, where you
You get the challenges.
Yeah. Where
you took on the Hydra, then you took on the
Minotaur Horde.
The Minotaur Horde, and then Xenagos.
And then Xenagos.
Yeah, where he was a 6/5. He couldn't leave the battlefield as long as a Reveler was on the battlefield. But if he left the battlefield, everyone won.
Yay, we win.
Hooray! Okay, so that's Xenagos.
And our last opponent?
And his opponent is, of course, Garrick. Duh. The 8'2", 480-pound monster
That lives to kill planeswalkers.
Yeah, he used to be a hunter. And you can see on all of his early creatures, or his early planeswalkers, he untapped lands and made beasts and buffed beasts. And then he made wolves. And then he made Death Touch wolves. This was after he got Veil Cursed. Then he buffed things. Then he called beasts. That's all pretty much beast related. And then he made more beasts and giant worms. And then he killed planeswalkers. While still making beasts. So yeah, that's what he do. It's very Seezy. Seezy? It's very... I tried to say simple and easy, and it came out Seezy. It's very skeezy. He's not to be trusted.
Well, he was kind of a challenge card too.
Yeah, it's called Garrick the Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Where he made wolves, and he buffed wolves, and then he killed creatures and got loyalty from it, and then destroy all creatures he doesn't control. Buh! Dang, dude. So yeah, he's been around a lot. But so, who wins, the party man who became a god, or the apex predator?
It's funny because both of them had a shift in their personalities. In that, as we've said, Garrick, or Xenagos started a planeswalker, became a god. Garrick started out being a normal guy, not a normal guy. Garrick being normal is a bit of a stretch, but he started out with one alignment, and then because of the Veil Curse, turned into something very, very different. You know, so I think this one's a little tricky. What do you think, Dark? I want to hear your opinion specifically.
Oh.
It's like, because the problem is Xanagos becomes a god.
Yeah.
And that changes things a little bit. Whereas Garrick, I don't know. This one's tough. Because Garrick kills. He goes after planeswalkers, but Xenagos becomes a god. So he's not exactly a planeswalker to be killed.
Huh.
I will say this: Garrick has been he has definitely fought many fights, seeing as he's shown up a bit in the lore. He's walked away from some really hard ones.
Yeah,
He was on Innistrad. He got slapped with the veil.
Oh yeah, the curse of the chain veil.
I feel like this one probably goes to Garrick, and here's why. I think there's a couple reasons, but their strengths and weaknesses, Garrick's strengths and Xenagos' weaknesses actually kind of line up a little bit. One of Garrick's strengths is he's used to hunting things. He's used to stalking things. And specifically for a while, he's been hunting planeswalkers. So he knows exactly what he needs to do to kill this guy, right? So from a conceptual standpoint, he's like, okay, time to bag another one. Xenagos' greatest weakness is his arrogance. If you read the Theros novel and Journey into Nyx, he lets Nylea, that's the green goddess, right?
Yeah.
He lets her shoot him with an arrow. And then instead of taking out the arrowhead, he breaks off the arrow and keeps the arrowhead in his chest as a reminder to himself, hey, a god tried to kill me and didn't. And
holy crap, that's like the most metal thing I've ever heard.
It's pretty good, right? But then here's the thing. Elspeth goes to fight him after he's turned into a god, and the arrow is still in his chest, and it's still something that has retained its materiality, I suppose. It's corporal, whatever. It's still, physical. And she throws the godsend into the arrowhead, and it like turns into shrapnel and shreds his essence. So, oops. He kept his kryptonite inside his chest for all to see. And that's not a metaphor. It's something he literally did. So, there you go.
I bet he was one of those people who would just walk up and show you the scar without anybody saying anything. Like, you're standing there at the party, you refill your punch, and all of a sudden the satyr's like, dude, look at my scar. Let me tell you everything about how I got this scar. So I pissed off this goddess, right? And you're like, just trying to back away, and he keeps following you.
Yeah, a little bit. So, my point being, his whole thing is bring it on, I can take it. And Garrick's going to be like, okay.
Let's test this theory.
Let's test this theory. Because Xenagos really feels like he can, get out of anything. He's a manipulator. He's a trickster god. He also doesn't necessarily like to do his own work. He likes to make things to do work for him, right? So I feel like Garrick, I think they're more magically matched than it might otherwise appear, because Xenagos has shown that he can control a vast amount of mana. That actually ties into his abilities. Mm-hmm. He's confident for a reason. He's very, very powerful. But I think it's more of his attitude than anything else that seals the deal. He's taken a blow from a goddess, and he lived to tell the tale. In a weird way, he felt like it made him stronger. That doesn't work here at all, like even slightly. That's my take, anyway.
So the question is, what flavor of Xenagos are we fighting against here?
I don't know. I mean, I get the impression that the godly Xenagos wouldn't be able to leave Theros, because would be permanently tied to Theros. So that's one strike against them meeting up to fight somewhere.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, unless Garrick specifically went to Theros to hunt down a god, which I wouldn't put past him.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not far down the checklist.
It's probably not. However, my reasoning comes to this. Everybody else is a Planeswalker. So the whole point of this was Planeswalker on Planeswalker action.
Yeah. It's not like we've got Vincer's corpse up against Elspeth, although I don't think
up against zombie Elspeth, yeah.
Yeah.
that could be interesting. But no, it's not like we have, Nissa against Shark the Crab. So.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or if Teferi was here, it would pretty clearly be Teferi Planeswalker versus Teferi for that 80 years when he lost his spark.
Right.
So.
Also, I just want to say, I really hope that if Garrick is still, the apex predator hunting Planeswalker guy, I really hope that in the set that we see him, that there's a removal spell. And I think I've said this on the show before, but I hope that there's a removal spell where it's Garrick doing his Jason Voorhees thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where he just, crashes through a door and stabs somebody, and that's the removal spell. And it's, that's the flavor. I don't care what the name is, but I want him to be a horror movie villain.
Here's Johnny?
If he's going to be a villain coming soon, which we don't know, but as opposed to Bolas and his, I have schemes upon schemes upon schemes, he's just like, bugga, 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 bugga. Yeah, like Nerd Soda said. Yeah, see, that's what I want to see for Garrick if he's a bad guy in the future. But yeah, given that Garrick hunts Planeswalkers and is 8'2", 480 pounds of solid scary, and Xenagos is a satyr who likes to party and is tricksy, I don't know, man.
There's a little more to Xenagos than that, but...
Yeah, no, he liked to party because that's how he was going to become a god.
Yeah. But, and he could actually wield some fairly impressive mind control magic and pyro magic, but Garrick just... Yeah.
I feel like Xenagos would be busy, tricksy, partying and everything. And as was pointed out, that Garrick is going to be like Jason. He's just going to keep coming and coming and coming, be like, I'm not here to party, slam, axe in your head.
Yeah, like he.
At some point, he is going to win. He is going.
Well,
he will
and
just outlast you.
And here's the interesting thing. So say we try and work a little bit with Xenagos' mind control, because he has some of the red flavor of mind control. Making people lose their inhibitions and party is part of that, but then he can use that to kind of control their actions. I feel like exposure to the veil may have actually protected him a little bit from that. He has less of a mind to take. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay, I get it.
I don't know. I better be careful. Chat might start throwing rocks at us again if we start giving people resistance to mind control.
Look, that's what
You
Jack's job is.
But this is not like blue mind control. This is more like give in to your utmost innermost passions and desires. And Garrett looks inside
I
and he's
desire
like,
to stab you.
I desire to stab you in the head. Yes. So that's exactly what I was going for. So, I like what you like.
It's like there's nothing I like more right now than to cut your head off. How about that?
I'm so glad we could have this conversation. And Xenagos just goes, well, crap.
And going back to like Dirk just said about him being like Jason, who you should never trust people named Jason, by the way. But what even if like Xenagos somehow managed to like get rid of him, and he's like, yay, I managed to convince him to drown or something. He's gonna pop up out of the water with the axe and stab you in the back, like, because that's what he does. All right, I think we've belabored this one long enough.
Yeah.
We've done our due diligence.
Yeah. This is not Death Battle. We're not doing science here, but we're faking it. So sorry, Xenagos, but Garrick lodged the axe in your head because he really, really wanted to. All right, so now in our bracket, we've got Dak Faden
Mm-hmm.
and Hiccups versus Elspeth without Hiccups. Okay,
Okay.
she has Hiccups too, just to make it fair.
Now, see, this is one of the reasons why it's actually super important that we established first round or second round, well, first round of rounds, that Elspeth does not have the godsend, because I think, Dak would love to get his hand on that. A weapon made by one god on a plane. It was then reforged by another god on that plane, has been, used by a planeswalker to kill all sorts of crazy stuff around the multiverse. Me likey. But it's not here. So her not having that actually is important because it means he can't take it. And if we're assuming, for the purposes of discussion, that she is capable of wielding her magic without it, which we have done so far, then she presumably has not found something else to channel her magic with. We certainly haven't been given anything lore-wise, because she dead. So...
Oh.
So my point is that whereas with Duretti, who's like, hey, got lots of artifacts and inventions and stuff, Elspeth doesn't have anything for him to really take. Does that make sense? You can't steal what the other person doesn't have.
I mean, he could try to steal her cloak, but then a Johnny would just show up and take it from him. So... See, because Johnny's still carrying it around.
Yeah,
Because he stole it from her dead corpse. Anyway.
I see what you did there.
Jokes are funnier if you explain them, right?
That's what I was led to believe.
So what...
well, I guess, he can still draw spells out of stuff, even if he doesn't take possession of the item, right?
Right.
So if he was able to get a hand on Elspeth's weapon, he might be able to get some of the spells that have been channeled through it, but I don't think he'd know I don't think he'd really know what to do with them as well as she would. It's different than what he would be able to steal from Duretti.
Yeah. And also, like Brian said, he learned a spell from a cursed ring to obliterate Eternals one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And he was not able to then apply that en masse. It had to work the way that the original spell worked.
Mm-hmm.
and like, is that what that original ring did, or is that just how he utilized the magic? You're the one who's read the book, so
That is how it worked. It was a ring. It was a ring. It was basically a cursed ring that would destroy. It was meant to destroy undead creatures when they put it on, I guess. And so he was like, "Hey, you Eternal, you now kind of, sort of, almost you've got this same curse on you. So, does that make sense? So it eats you from the inside." But it only works on one at a time because that's the way the curse was intended.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, that answers that.
So I'm thinking Elspeth feels a little similar to the last one, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dak is still like strong and quick and a thief, and is good with magic in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying he's not.
It's not a pushover fight.
No.
But he's still not a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he was a warrior, he probably wouldn't have been able to get surrounded by Eternals and have a spark ripped out. Like a chump. No offense, Dak.
None taken.
And so
He says several times in the novel, he's not a warrior. What am I doing here?
yeah.
But
Whereas Elspeth is a warrior
yes.
who, even though she doesn't want to be, like, her ultimate goal was to get away from combat and horrible crap like that and just be free and happy. But even when she found, a place like Bant where all combat was ritual and she could just sort of, oh, it's nice here, I like it here. When crap went down, she still dove in because
Right.
she has that innate sense of what's right and she knows how to fight, etc., etc., etc. So again, I think even if he could absorb her magics and, like, cancel them out, she's still just better at it than he is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Think that's enough?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, sorry, Dak, but you went down like a chump again.
I don't think falling in combat to Elspeth is necessarily dying like a chump.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
Okay, true. But how about getting into single combat with Elspeth in the first place is kind of chumpy.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. That was his mistake to make.
All right, so our second semifinal. Oh, this ought to be a slugfest. Koth of the Hammer and Garrick Wildspeaker.
Yeah.
wow.
That's a serious force
this is-
meets force.
This is the
this is-
semifinals. Jesus.
This is brute force on brute force on.
So one thing we didn't mention about Koth, I don't think it'll come up, but he has the ability to purify metal that came, from his geomancy and, where he is from.
Okay.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it only works on metal. I don't think he can purify things. Like, I can cure you of the curse. Come here, let me put my hands on you. Or anything like that.
Yeah.
I can make your helmet really nice.
I think that has
Sorry,
less.
that's all I got for you.
I think that has less to do with spiritual purity and more purity of substance, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's geology.
Come here, my son. Let me, lay hands on you. Get my head chopped off for the effort. Uh, dang, man. Just once again, Garrick's whole thing is killing planeswalkers, but Koth is not a stranger to conflict. He is used to. You think about somebody growing up in like a war torn area. This isn't every minute of Koth's existence has basically been you're gonna die, you know. So it's not like he's a stranger to adversity either.
Yeah, I
This
mean, you
one's
don't just survive when the Phyrexians are trying to obliterate everything on your plane by happenstance.
no. There's no happening dancing here.
And Nerd Soda pointed out, I mean, Koth did almost suffocate Vincer with a rock helmet.
That's true. He's like, "You're coming with me." Vencer's like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Chunk," and forced him to planeswalk with him so that he could take the helmet off when they got to Mirrodin.
Which, I mean, let's be real, that's pretty funny.
I don't think that Vencer found it very funny.
No one cares what Vincer thought, though. Vincer sucked.
Oh.
At least as he was written in that book, he sucked.
Hashtag justice for Vencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he freed Karn. It's fine.
Let's see. I'm trying to think about other characters that Garrick has gotten into conflict with that wield a similar amount of just straight up elemental power. Liliana is one, and we all know how that went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she had to use the chain veil.
She did. She did have to use the chain veil
to survive, though. So that's kind of cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's also a reason that she made him the way that he is. So
yeah, using the chain veil.
Yeah.
Wait, were we talking about two different things? Because originally, like, it was the chain veil that cursed him. That's the chain curse, or veil curse, rather.
Oh, Nerd Soda makes a good point. She might not have had to. She might have just been messing around and doing it just to be mean. I think she did that when she first cursed him, but then after he started hunting her down, she had to use the power to stop him or get him to go away.
I mean, Jace, as much as we rag on Jace, he is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And he managed to not die.
That's true.
Although Garrick said, hey, if I ever see you again, I might kill you. So, there's that.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And again, he's someone who wields immense elemental power, which Koth seems to do.
This is a tough one.
This is very difficult.
So
Yeah.
you've got the power of Garrick and all of his beasts and whatnot, and then Koth and his mountains and fire.
Doesn't he also make elementals?
Well, yeah, they're essentially rock monsters.
Yeah, he can animate stone.
Rock monster! No, that's rock lobster. I'm sorry. Oh, Vronos and Icy are characters that Garrick met in various places. Vronos was sent to bring him in, and Icy was an ice-wielding planeswalker that Vronos apparently hired to bring him in.
Was that like the M13, M14 Duels of the Planeswalkers something?
I have no idea. This was after Innistrad when he was an Apex Predator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Audric, according to this, was able to trap Garrick and drug him so that he could travel back to Thraben to stand trial. And Audric's just a dude.
Huh. A dude who's obviously very good at his job.
Although, I think this was while he had been curse muted. So he wasn't, a raging
Oh. Mm-hmm.
curse monster.
I keep going back and forth on this.
All right, chat, what do you guys think? Give us some other opinions here.
Well, neither one of these guys is dead, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Koth
they
is
got
still
that-
fighting on New Phyrexia, and Garrick is off doing Garrick things. Hashtag just Garrick things.
So what are the big baddies that Garrick has taken on? Because Koth has taken on the
Phyrexians.
the Praetors, and he's survived combat with the Praetors.
Has he actually, like...
He's been chased down by Elish Norn.
Whoa.
Is that what it says in the profile? In the
Yeah, I
file?
think, like, she's, sent people after him. I don't know if
Yeah.
she's gone mano-a-mano with... But, I mean, yeah, again... He's still...
Mhm.
Yeah,
Do you
I
think-
don't see anything about him going toe to toe with the any Praetors.
Okay.
Do you think his physiology gives him any kind of advantage?
No.
No, not really.
Being part stone and metal.
I think there's a question mark for that. I think maybe it could be, but at the same time, once again, Garrick has made a habit of hunting down planeswalkers, so he's seen a lot of different types of planeswalkers. It's not like everybody he's run into has been human the entire time, you know?
Yeah.
I might have
Yeah,
to.
according to this, Garrick completely overpowered Jace's best efforts before coming to his senses, so that means that he bested Jace.
I don't know. With all we've talked about here, with all the power that's on display, it comes down to how they fight and the resources they have at their beck and call. I would call it for Koth.
See, I was gonna say the opposite.
I'm sort of with Brian's that it really is sort of a tit for tat sort of thing in this, but I'm thinking I myself, my vote would just barely be in Garrick's corner.
I feel like this is what he does, and he has a certain set of skills that make him a nightmare to other planeswalkers. Literally.
Yes, a nightmare, a literal nightmare.
So
Yeah, and Koth is really good at fighting off Phyrexians. Their goal is different than just kill you. Like, they're trying to kill all of you. And complete some of you, and things of that nature. Whereas Garrick just walks up and looks at you and be like, see this axe? I'm gonna cut your head off. And I don't know if Koth is quite set up to handle that exactly. Because this is not a threat to your people and your way of life. This is, I'm gonna cut your head off. Looking at you, sir, in the front row. This is not a general you. This is a very specific you. then, could Garrick really survive having a giant mountain dropped on his head?
He's a tough guy. He is a very tough guy. He's very resilient.
He is 8'2", 480 pounds of solid terrifying.
He's Jason, right?
Oh, right. Oh, God, that's right! You drop a mountain on him and you turn around and you go, yes! And next thing you know, a giant axe lops your arm off while it's raised in victory. You're like, what? Damn it, I just won! And then there's a giant worm that has protected him from the mountain and then tunneled him out. And then he lops your arm off. And you're like, son of a bitch, I thought you were dead. They always think that.
Before it sounds like I'm completely discounting Koth, I really, really, really feel like this is a knockdown drag out.
If you think that's bad, wait till you see what the next match is if we go with Garrick.
I mean, this could totally be on pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Both of them have the experience.
Both of them have the experience, but whereas Koth is used to fighting monsters and Phyrexians, which are terrifying,
Garrick's got the experience with
Garrick is here to kill planeswalkers. That's what he does. His curse compels him to do this.
So I'm just pulling up these pictures of Garrick. He's scary.
Mm-hmm.
He's terrifying.
If he's coming down an alley, I'm going to turn around and go back the way I came.
You should. Except you're probably already dead if he sees you.
Yeah, when you turn around to run, there's a wolf standing behind you, like, sup, bruh? And you're like, ah, damn it.
Oh, and I guess that's something I've completely discounted is, aside from the fact that part of him is just straight up murder, he's still a powerful summoner, right? He goes to planes, he makes nice with the BCs, and then he can call them later. So it's not just him. Whereas Koth is a grappler. He fights on his own. He uses the elements, especially the earth, but we don't have any evidence of him using elementals or anything like that, right? So
yeah, it's all wolves and beasts of various flavors, and worms are the creature types that his cards make.
Yeah, but Koth doesn't have that same set of skills. He fights on his own, right? So
I thought he can rate. No, he can raise
Oh,
elementals. That's the thing.
true.
His first
That's
ability
true.
does, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple of cards that are concepted as elementals that he's raised.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. So I can call a wolf. Well, I can call a mountain. But I can call a worm. Jeez, I kind of want to see this one play out a little bit.
Right? This looks freaking sick, y'all.
This. Because we have to have a winner, especially, if this was the last round, we could basically just say they're still fighting to this day.
You're right.
But Elspeth's got to fight somebody. I feel like whatever I pick, I'm picking the wrong thing. Because I then think of, but the other. Garrick.
Yeah.
He's a manhunter. Anybody feel differently? Mike, do you still feel like Koth?
I still do.
His specialty is geomancy, spells that can move mountains, shatter stone, and melt iron. Oh. Well, okay, so maybe Garrick has to get in there with his bare hands because his axe got melted, but...
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm pretty sure Garrick could. Even though I'm for Koth, I'm pretty certain Garrick is good to kill stuff with his bare hands.
Probably.
Yeah.
He's definitely comfortable doing that.
Yeah. So, did anybody... Okay, this was actually thrown away as a throwaway line in the movie, but anyone ever read The Princess Bride? it goes into more detail there, but in the movie, Andre the Giant actually says that it's different fighting just one person. You use different moves against an entire group of people than you do against one person, and it takes time to flip that switch, which is how Wesley was able to beat Fezzik. No, what was his name?
Right. Yeah, Fezzik.
Yeah, Fezzik. So I'm gonna use that as a way to give Garrick an early upper hand that he just never loses. It's still close and it's still brutal and knockdown drag out, but I'm gonna say that my opinion is that Garrick gets enough damage in early to where
Koth just can't come back.
Yeah, Koth can't make that full comeback. That and he's Jason. You know.
Yep.
Sorry, Mike. It sounds like you've been outvoted.
Yeah, I accept that.
You want to try to change your minds one last time, or you giving it in?
No, you all sound pretty solid.
Okay. All right then. Well, that leaves this epic finale of Garrick Wildspeaker versus Elspeth Tyrell. Tyrell? How the hell do you say her name?
Tyrell.
I would say Tyrell.
Tyrell. There we go. Wait. Chat, did my computer just go bring? Did you guys hear that? I know you guys on the call didn't. Because if so, I want to know what the hell that was. Or did I hear that in my head? No? Okay, that might have been in my head. Okay, apparently I just heard that in my brain. Sorry, excuse me. Let's keep going.
So Elspeth versus Garrick.
Elspeth versus Garrick.
So this is where Elspeth's warrior training and massive, like, protection magic plays a big part.
Yeah. I think this is not as one-sided as it looks, because, okay, we've just established she does not have the godsend, which is unfortunate because she could probably use anything she could use stuff to keep them at bay. But what's her big thing? What's her big ability? She summons soldiers to fight with her. Not necessarily just for her, but with her. And we see that not only in the cards, but in the novels, especially like the Theros novel when they're attacking the legendary Hydra. What's his name? The guy. Pelucranos. The first thing she does is summons some warriors from another plane, some soldiers, and they help pin down the heads so she can try and cut all the heads off at once. It doesn't work, but that's an illustration. And then later when she's fighting God Xenagos, she summons an Archon to fight for her. So we just got through saying it's a lot different fighting one person than fighting a bunch of people. Well, the reverse applies as well. Garrick is used to, I see one person, I'm going to kill that person. You don't see him just wading into a bunch of people and going, hey, I'm here to kill all of y'all. So it's a very different dynamic. He's a hunter. What does a hunter do? Does a hunter just go like, booyah? A hunter does not go out into the woods with a shotgun and go, where are my deer at? A hunter, you know.
Where are all the whitetails at?
I mean, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't hunt at all, so maybe that's how you do it. But my thought is he stalks them. He hunts them. And in an arena situation, whereas with the previous rounds, he's been able to basically just overpower them. If she's able to analyze the situation, because her whole thing, she figured out how to kill an unkillable Hydra that literally got stronger every time somebody stabbed it. It used to be part of a god.
Man, I hate it when it happens.
It used to live in the heavens, and she she tried like 3 different ways to kill it, and every time something didn't work, she thought of another way to do it. So she sends out some soldiers, he's hacking them to pieces, but she's watching, she's figuring out what he's doing. And she does have some destructive magic. We've seen that some of her abilities are very like destroy all the things, destroy all the big things. Her whole point is you find out the bigger they are, the harder they fall, right? So yeah, she looks for weaknesses in larger, stronger opponents, and she finds a way to close the distance, if not use their strength against them. Do I think it's easy? No, this is Garrick.
Hmm.
But I don't think he's just going to be able to walk right up to her and go, you're dead now.
Yeah. And there's also like, I didn't just want to run it out at the beginning of the conversation, but we were talking about all the Jason stuff before with Garrick, and who else but Elspeth would be the final girl.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh.
was just laughing at, because Nerd Soda just said it in the chat.
Oh,
It's like, horror logic, Elspeth isn't promiscuous, so she would live.
gosh.
It applies. Oh my god! If you've read Journey into Nyx, which has been out for how long now? Like 5 years. So,
Is that
6
all?
years. 6 years. Yeah, because it was 20th anniversary. We were going to Theros, and people were like,
Oh, yeah.
So 6 or 7 years. Spoiler alert, but she sleeps with Daxos, and right after that, Xenagos uses his mind control powers to make her kill Daxos. So the minute she slept with someone, she didn't die, but she killed someone else. So horror movie logic, I guess, still applies. So, but yeah.
That's really depressing. I kind of wish I didn't know that part of the story.
Says
Well,
it says Xenagos appeared as they slept.
mhm.
After they scrumped. He controlled her and brought back her darkest memory, trapped with the Phyrexian Obliterator looming over her. But she struck out and killed it, only realizing too late that she had just killed Daxos. Damn!
Yeah.
Is that kind of like Heracles being driven mad and killing his family?
I think so, yeah.
Megara.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind he had a former disciple of the god of deceit, the blue black god, with him.
Mhm.
The blue black god had let him go for his oracle go for telling Elspeth things he should not have. So Xenagos was like, "Well, you can serve me now. I'm going to be a god," and he was like, "Okay." So there may have been some of that magic kind of curled up in there too.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
just so we're clear, she was asleep at the time, so who knows? But yeah, Elspeth's story is not a happy story. Theros is not a bucket of sunshine. You get sunshine in buckets.
Although it would be a wonderful place to live for the most part, as we discussed on a previous episode.
For
Yeah.
the most part, yeah. It's better than some places, that's for sure.
But luckily, none of that helps our discussion here, because Garrick is not going to try to trick her in any way with anything.
No, he's gonna try and murderize her.
So she can summon up soldiers to help, but he can summon up beasts
Hmm.
True.
of the big scary variety. And even if they're not of the big scary variety, they're of the big enough to handle soldiers variety. Because
Almost certainly.
if
yeah.
they're too big, she can just wipe them out, because that's what she does.
Yeah.
But doesn't she make the soldiers just as big as the beasts?
That's true, yeah.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that I think that the summoning friends to help is kind of a wash.
But over time, well, I guess she's learning him, but he's learning her too, because, I mean, certainly in all of his, Planeswalker Hunter exploits, he's learning what he can about his prey. That's, again, part of hunting. So she's watching him, he's watching her. He is more of a physically imposing presence. No doubt. again, her whole thing is, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. I said that already. I'm trying to look for a different phrase, but I feel like it fits.
Hmm.
And even if he has some aptitude, with some death magic, mostly due to his curse, it's not what he grew up knowing. It's not the thing that he's most used to. And she's very in tune with healing and protection magic, right? So not so much healing as like buffing, empowerment.
Yeah, she does make things indestructible, which is that's a plus.
Yeah.
Well, I can go ahead and
It's just one thing as far as the indestructibility. You draw a compare and contrast between her and Gideon. Gideon, for the most part, makes himself indestructible, with some exceptions. That's kind of his thing. Is he has some sort of aegis or some sort of ability to protect himself, and throughout all the stories, it's represented lore wise by he basically just covers himself with a nice shiny outer skin, so to speak, of invincibility. They even call it that in the novels. Oh, he's invincible. She doesn't seem to really do that, but hers is more about protecting other people, making them invincible. Am I right? So, applying that toward her summoned, I don't want to say minions, but compatriots, perhaps? Or tokens. What were you going to say, Dirk?
well, I feel like I can end the argument and just say Elspeth wins because Garrick says, I'm going to kill you, and Elspeth goes, okay, I'm already dead.
And Dirk has a great way of cutting to the heart of the matter.
Joke's on you.
Tell
Garrett
me
goes,
something.
Wait,
Okay.
really? Piss! And walks away.
You raise an interesting point. I mean,
Shut up,
well,
Dirk.
I mean, we were talking about.
We did say we weren't using the returned Elspeth here.
Okay, did we? I wasn't sure. Okay, nice try, Dirk. Still, points for creativity. This is the problem with doing this kind of like quote unquote out of. We can't really say exactly where we are in the time stream, so to speak, because if she's back, if she's back from Theros, then maybe she's like, I was dead, I got better, But
check out my gold face, isn't it cool?
But if this is prior to that, then it's a different thing. So,
Yeah. So this in the last semifinal have involved some incredibly powerful planeswalkers. Like I believe Garrett can be beaten. That's evidenced by my vote for Koth earlier.
And he has
And-
been.
Yes. And I definitely think Elspeth can do this. Elspeth has the power. Elspeth has the grit. And Elspeth has the talent to do it.
Does she have true grit?
Yes.
See, I'm in agreement with Mike that Elspeth having a soldier background, the fact that she can be indestructible or make things indestructible, I feel like she has the edge in the fight.
If she can build up an army and then buff them all, which is what she does across 3 different cards and in stories, I think they'll probably be able to handle any beasts or wolves that Garrett can call up. So maybe that's not as much of a wash as I originally thought.
let's think about motivation here for a second. Why is Garrett fighting? Because he's been programmed to do it, right? Because a force outside of his control just said, you're going to be a major asshat now, and you're going to hunt down Planeswalker. It was not like he just decided to do it, right? Am I right? It's the curse that's having him do it. It's a force outside of his control.
Yeah, he's already interested in hunting, but the curse has changed that.
Yeah. Whereas Elspeth, I feel like, is an early forerunner to the mentality of the Gatewatch. The whole point of the Gatewatch is planeswalkers can always leave. We will choose to stay. And she constantly found herself on another world and another world and another world where there was pain and suffering. And it would have been very easy for her to say, screw it, this is not what I came for, and leave. But when did she leave? She left every time after she did what she could to help. On Alara, she left after Bolus's plan was stopped and the plane was kind of getting back to normal. The only time she left before the plane was fixed was on Mirrodin, and they're really, that's kind of beyond her control. But every other time she gets someplace, she's looking for a home. She gets someplace, she finds out it's screwed up, and instead of leaving, she stays to fight, and then she keeps moving. So I guess the motivation here is she's trying to survive, I'm sure, but she's also trying to, if she feels like she's trying to fight for some greater purpose, is that maybe enough to is she gonna dig deep enough, is my question. Whereas he's basically just there because the voices in his head said, hey, go kill her. I don't know.
Yeah, after this discussion, I might find myself wishing that we had that I had gone the other way on the Garrick Koth fight.
To make this easier, or
No, just because some of the things that I'm thinking about this fight probably would have been a thing in the previous one too.
Probably, although once again, if you look at Koth versus Garrick, even if you're looking at what they summon, so Koth is summoning probably like one mountain at a time, and that's impressive, and Garrick is summoning one giant beast at a time. They're still wailing on each other. Elspeth is summoning a bunch of dudes at a time. So I think because we are doing this purely based on our own thoughts and discussion, I see your point, but I wouldn't have too much buyer's regret because
I think this fight would be easier if it was Elspeth versus Koth, though.
Yeah.
Because Koth is not quite on the same power. He's awesome, but I don't think he's quite on the same power level as Garrick. So then again, maybe I don't wish.
And Elspeth is also on a totally different tactical level than either of.
Very true.
Koth or Garrick.
And maybe that has something to do with it as well. With Garrick, it's instinct, and now it's years of training as far as hunting. But as far as the combat, it's, he's been hunting beasts and things his whole life. The Planeswalker thing is a little more recent. He's been doing that for a good amount of time. But she is military. She is focused. So
she was offered something on
a Nobel Prize in Physics.
This is Captain America versus Jason Voorhees.
I mean, I don't think it's quite that one-sided.
Yeah.
Although in Infinity War, the movie, which is a year old now, so sorry.
Yeah.
We've seen, well, it was in the trailer. We've seen Captain America stand up to Thanos, and in the comics, the Infinity Gauntlet comics, Captain America was the last man standing against fully powered God Thanos. So like,
oh yeah, I meant that as a compliment.
Granted, he went down like a bitch because he's just Captain America, and this was fully powered God Thanos. But still, he held his ground against the most powerful thing that is in existence.
I meant this as a compliment. Like, she's got the training, the experience, the know-how. She's got the personal determination. Like, she knows that this is the right thing to do. So that was not meant to be like, oh, she's not as powerful as him. That is more of like I can do this all day. I'm getting beaten down by a god. What is that? It kind of thing, versus unstoppable killing monster. So,
Fair enough.
Anybody got a coin?
I don't really. I think, given the discussion of tactics and teamwork that Elspeth will have, she didn't really need that against the other two chumps.
No.
I mean,
No.
no offense to Vincer and Dak, but not same power level.
No.
I really think that she could actually overpower Garrick. Maybe not easily, but
No, not easily,
This would be a
but definitively.
knockdown, drag-out fight.
Yeah.
definitively. There you go.
The-
It's not easy, but when it happens, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Right.
Like for all these other fights, Garrick was the inevitability. Because but
But he doesn't have that advantage. At least not to the same extent here.
yeah, Elspeth is already well versed in taking down things that aren't supposed to be killed, as you pointed out
Yeah.
earlier.
God, she took down a god. She found the weakness in a god.
And she summons up armies to help her, and then makes the army stronger and better and more powerful and more effective, and protects them.
Yeah.
And I don't think Garrick is that great at. Again, like I say, he could summon up beasts to help him out, but if her army is protected, then once they take out the beast, they're gonna look at Garrick and crack their knuckles and go, "All right, next," and move in to help her with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Elspeth?
it's looking like it.
My vote is Elspeth.
Elspeth for the win. And let me just say, for anyone that is listening and is just like, really? I gotta say, I feel like these last couple rounds. Okay, these last 2 rounds specifically, not so much Elspeth versus Dak, but Garrick versus Koth and Elspeth versus Garrick are nail biters by every definition. I really feel like they could have gone a couple different ways. You could have had Koth beating Garrick in a couple situations. You could have had Elspeth beating Koth or losing to Koth, or Garrick beating Elspeth if maybe she's just not prepared and he overwhelms her. So for anyone that's listening and is like, well, this is wrong, and I'm not trying to say that opinion, you're wrong to feel that way, but if you feel like maybe we didn't get it completely right, I think there's a lot of room for interpretation here. But I can definitely see the situation we're talking about where she wins. So Elspeth for the win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a
You
hell
go,
of a discussion.
girl.
And I can't lie. When I was making up these brackets with these 8 planeswalkers, I was like, so Garrick just wins this, right? All right, and I moved on because I didn't put that much thought into it. So
Well, and when we were discussing even what to do for this episode, Darkett had this idea, and at first I was like, that could be interesting. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I feel like this could be an interesting discussion because, yes, even though some of the planeswalkers like Garrick are stronger than others, I feel like there's less of a power gap between even Garrick and Doretti. And while that may feel that way, there are certainly situations where Doretti has certain skills and can do things. There's less of a gap there than, say, Little Girl versus Apocalypse Hydra. So by the nature of doing just planeswalkers, I think that this was a really interesting discussion. Maybe sometime a little further out from War of the Spark, we can do another one with a couple other planeswalkers when we haven't felt like we've been planeswalkered to not to death, but inundated in planeswalkers. Yeah. It's late. We should let Dirk go to bed.
yeah. So let us wrap it up then, gentlemen.
You were right. We did not need to have any other topics.
I know.
I'm just telling you, you're right.
So, final thoughts?
I guess for me, it's I don't know. I did kind of also think that Garrick was gonna, I guess, clean sweep. You know, looking at the original bracket, I'm like, I don't know what that is. Okay, Garrick's this, but yeah, I'm kind of I knew Elspeth was going to be a tough fight. I didn't know how it was going to go and everything, but yeah, I think this the decision is very valid.
Yeah.
And I'm looking. Yeah, that's essentially my final thought on this.
All right. Brian?
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting discussion. I'm glad we took the time to do it. I want to thank Dirk for coming up with it in the first place. Glad we gave this a shot. I will say, I guess, that if you've listened to the pre-release field recordings, you know that Samantha has now given a shot at a pre-release. I'll have you know that she has even tried a draft, which was not really what I had in mind. Not to say that she couldn't, but I figured she could probably use a little more experience before she tried it. But I was going to draft, and she's like, "I want to come." I'm like, "Okay," and she's like, "And I want to do it," and I'm like, "Okay, here's what you need to know, and just make sure that you're not taking too long. Not that I wanted to rush her too much, but I don't want her to be like taking 5 minutes with every pick, holding everybody up." And she kept up really, really well. I think she needs to work a little bit. Some of her, I feel like her picks were actually interesting, but when it came to actually building her deck, I think she got a bit. She was struggling a bit with trying to put all the pieces together, but she did a really good job making her picks. And it's one of those things where I felt like I really shouldn't make those decisions for her. I didn't think that would be fair to the other people playing, so I kind of let her build her deck, and I'm watching it and I'm like, there are some interesting choices. I don't know if this format really supports 4-color, but you go. But she had a really, really good time, and that's the most important thing. While I feel like every player wants to have more people to play with, and you hope that your kids and all that share your interests, I never wanted to be like, oh, I like to do this thing, so you need to do this thing too. But I am glad that she has been enjoying it thus far, and that it's kind of basically been her idea to give it a shot. So, yeah,
Nice.
that's what I got.
Okay. Mike?
Um, I like the Planeswalker fight. It stretched our brains a little more because we had kind of like how we've been able to do with some the legendary creature fights. We got to stretch a little bit more knowing what we know about the character and what they've done and all their capabilities. Yeah, we'll do another one of these, hopefully.
I think so.
Nice. I will try to find a bunch of planeswalkers with somewhat similar power levels so we don't end up with Elspeth versus freaking Venser.
Right.
Nerd Soda points out we already know that Sam is better at Magic than Chewy because one pre-release record is proof of that. Correct. She did do better than me at the pre-release. It's true. Huh. Anyway, so is that me?
That is, in fact, you, yes.
All right. Hi, I'm Chewy.
Hey, Chewy. Hi, Chewy.
You can follow me on Twitter at the Manapool. That's the Manapool. Don't forget that part. You can send us an email to dorks@themanapool.com. And, yeah, themanapool.com is where the website is where the website lives, is where the podcast lives. The Twitch, we stream Monday Night Magic and the Manapool and all my other, streams here on twitch.tv/themanapool, where recently I streamed The Legend of Zelda, The Second Quest. This is the original Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo. There's a second quest, which is like New Game Plus. Before New Game Plus was a thing. The original Super Mario Brothers had it too. Did you know that? More people know about that one. But once you beat Legend of Zelda, or not Legend, once you beat Super Mario Brothers and keep going, you get to a point where you're playing it again, but all the Goombas have been replaced by Buzzy Beetles, which makes everything harder. And I think there are a few other changes, but that's the main thing.
That's the main thing.
The very first thing you see when you go to World 1-1 is a Buzzy Beetle walking up to you, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and after I beat the original Mario Brothers on our version on the Wii, Carrie got very annoyed with me because she's like, we couldn't figure out a way to reset it. We had to figure out a way to reset the game because she's like, I do not want to be playing against Beetles all the time.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Huh.
we figured out some way to reset it, but
And The Legend of Zelda is similar. It is harder than the first quest. The overworld is the same, but locations are different of lots of things. You meet the harder enemies earlier in dungeons. There are like walls you can walk through. There's a dude who demands you either pay him 50 rupees or give him a heart container.
Yikes.
I ran into 3 of those guys. 2 of them in the same dungeon! There are red bubbles that take away your sword completely until you either drink a potion, meet a fairy, or touch a blue bubble.
Huh.
So when you run into a room that has just red bubbles, you make a panic sound. And if the door slams shut behind you, you crap yourself! But, yeah. The dungeons are much harder and much more confusing, and it's just awesome. And it took me 3 whole streams to beat the second quest, but that will be going up on YouTube starting soon. I just have to get far enough ahead with other videos so I can focus on working on those. What's going up on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/themanapool right now, is, of course, Super Smash Brothers, the World of Light single-player mode, which I still have one entire stream's worth of videos to post, which means I need to stream that again soon. Some Hearthstone, of course. I just uploaded a video today that will go public, I think, in 2 days, that is a Control Warrior mirror in Hearthstone that went to the turn limit.
yeah, when he told me about this, I didn't even know there was a turn limit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you mean, fatigue? He's like, no.
No. And I worked on that video for 3 days because I was manually adding in a turn counter with a ding. The ding I didn't need, but I wanted it. So every time I hit end turn and they start to draw a card, there's a ding, and every time it pops up on my screen, your turn, there's a ding. And I had to do that. I'm not going to tell you what the turn limit is. You could look it up, or you could just watch the video. And hey, 10th Tech Priest just subbed for 9 months in a row.
My word.
Speaking of digital card games, have you heard of this new thing called MTG Arena? Arena is a game mode in Hearthstone, right? I don't play that because I suck at it. Also, bite me, 10th Tech Priest. But, yeah, so Hearthstone and Smash Brothers is what's going up right now. I just had some Plague Inc. go up. I found, buried in subfolders, some old Golf with Your Friends footage. It was me and Billy and Jacob, and I can't wait to start putting that together again. Like, this was before I started streaming, so this is just us just goofing off, playing golf with your friends. And I think I've got 2 videos worth. I'm going to see if there's actually 2 videos, because there's got to be a reason I didn't post these originally. But if I can't figure out what that is, they're going to go up, man, because I don't give a damn. Golf with Your Friends is awesome, and I love Billy and Jacob, so that'll be great. There's something else that I just had. Oh, The Legend of Zelda was the other thing that'll be going up soon. Yeah. I swear I think there's another thing, but I can't remember. I'm not making use of my whiteboard. Plague Inc. I did. Yeah, okay, that was it. Cool. So that's all going up on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/themanapool. And if you want to help support what I do with this insane amount of content creation, because it's 1 YouTube video a day, every day, at least. I try, when I have podcasts go up, I try to have a second video go up on podcast days. Here lately, I haven't had enough videos ahead of time to be able to do that, but most of the time I do. But yeah, like I said, it's 1 video a day, every day. And this is all done without any editors or outside help or anything. All the production is little old me, so when you factor in 1 video on YouTube a day and all of the streams and 2 podcasts a week, it's kind of ridiculous. So if you want to help support me while I try to do all of that and help me keep the lights on and pay the bills so I'm able to keep bringing you this insane amount of content, go to patreon.com/themanapool, where you can get early access to YouTube videos and Manapool episodes. You can get behind-the-scenes recordings from both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool. It's called The Odds and Ends. It's before and after both shows, and it's just uncensored and unfiltered. And yeah, like, for instance, we're going to talk some about Endgame if I ever end this episode, so I'm going to hurry up and do that. And then you can get the sponsorship shout-out on both podcasts and on the end screen for all the YouTube videos. And so that would be our Mythic Lifeguards. So I'd like to thank them now. Kim Maho, Al, Lance Delicious, Timu Halazharyu, Connor Kennedy, John Morris, Alex Gonzalez, Jeff Spencer, Stuart Slaw, PJ McMullen, Sophia Bertain, Casey, Fayin Says, Danny Liao, Jason Doan, Cody Buckowing, Jake Jansons, that's Jacob, hey, Jason Kaus, Gothic Man, Brian DeLucci, Stark Maximum, Keith Moody, John Parker, Aleph Cat, Dan Holm, Bartle, Mike Millerburn, and the Beastfather, Aaron Goodwine. Whew. So there you go. But with all of that, we are done. This has been episode number 552. We hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments or an email or on Twitter or somewhere what you thought of our Planeswalker Flavor Fight and of our condiment flavor fight at the beginning. So with that, we'll be done. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and go play some Magic.